finals. He was playing mono red, then he beat 3 black devotion decks on the draw every single game. It was impressive to watch. He's off to a nice start here, and take a look at that mountain.
Beta.
You got to be a fan of that. There's a Fire Turn Crusader as well, as we were underway here in round number 13.
It looks like Mason on a 4-card hand here has several Wingmate rocks and some lands, but it's going to be hard to win game 1 on 4 cards with no early plays.
This is a Monastery Swift Spear into the red zone. It's an attack here for 3. And Resendez will have to simply pass the turn back. Mason will take a draw step. He does have a Rakshasa Death Dealer that he can deploy if he'd like. Also has a Forest. You mentioned the Wingmate rock in hand as well.
And Festus is playing a much more classic pups and bolts sort of strategy, which he typically does. Not trying to go crazy with a bunch of heroic triggers, just playing land drops, some burn spells, and a low curve of creatures.
Magma Jet is going to take care of that Rakshasa Death Dealer. It's time to scry. Can't forget that Prowess was triggered as well.
Look at that hand of 3 Lightning Strikes and the Goblin Rabblemaster.
Mardu Scout among the cards he's looking at as far as scrying is concerned. Now it's time to get into the red zone here for 4 points of damage. Young already down to 13.
Yep, and again, the curve already lined up for the rest of the game.
Thoughtseize the draw.
Nice.
Gonna fire that baby off. And Festus is probably real happy to show his hand. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, and a Rabblemaster. Choose wisely. We'll go with the Rabblemaster, Will Mason. He's not happy with what he sees on the other side of the table, but you can't be happy in your mulligan at 4 against mono red either.
Yep.
Mountain the draw.
Not a lot to be done here. Maybe see some cards out of Festus' deck.
Here are the attacks. I think Festus deciding if he wants to strike twice or if he wants to pump. He's going to strike at least once. I think he's going to strike again here.
I think this is lethal.
I believe it is. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 2 Wingmate rocks are shown, and Mason Young's going to concede the game. Festus Resendez does win game number 1 here over Mason Young. Mono Red Aggro wins game number 1 over Obzon Aggro. Quick and easy.
As you would anticipate game 1 of this matchup being with an opponent who can't really do very much due to the mulligans, post-board's going to be a lot harder here as Mason has a lot to bring to the table.
We're going to take a look at Mason's sideboard. He's got a Nissa Worldwaker, a Liliana Vest, an Elspeth Sun's Champion, 2 Read the Bones, 3 Glare of Heresy, 3 Drown in Sorrow, 2 Back to Nature, a Hero's Downfall, and an Utter End. Drown in Sorrow, the big one.
Yeah, 3 copies of Drown in Sorrow, those absolutely come in. Once you get past that, you have some okay options. Things like Elspeth, Nissa, and Hero's Downfall, maybe better than some of the more cumbersome cards in Mason's deck. For example, Ajani, Mentor of Heroes, a little underpowered in the matchup. But the 3 Drown in Sorrows are definitely where going to improve Mason's chances.
What do we see on the other side?
3 copies of Circle of Flame, 2 Outpost Siege, a Shatter, 3 Arc Lightning, 2 Harnessed by Force, 4 copies of Searing Blood. I guess against the aggro build of the deck, it's a little bit more reasonable to bring in Searing Bloods, though Mason's deck is going a little bit higher up in the curve. Really only Rakshasa Death Dealer is the target. I think the 2 copies of Harnessed by Force are fine here, and the 2 copies of Outpost Siege may come in as well.
Well, game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment, but I know that many people are watching. We appreciate having you guys this weekend. Senator Phyllis, Patrick Sullivan, Nick Miller in the sideboard, along with the rest of the SCG Live crew. At SCG Live for your tweets, hashtag SCGHOU as well, or you can just chat in here on Twitch.
Yeah, hop in right now. If you're a subscriber, you get to post as much as you want to. Without a subscription, you're in slow mode chat, which means only 1 post every 2 minutes. Also with a subscription, which is only $4.99 a month, you get access to custom emoticons and badges while you're posting in the feature match area.
Myself, Patrick Mathias, you know the crew, along with the Jetpack Penguin and the Slow Play Turtle. More custom emoticons coming as well. Twitch.tv/SCG Live. Join the feature match area today where you can talk about Festus Resendez and Mason Young doing battle. Resendez, again, a Standard Open champion with Mono Red last year at our Season 2 Invitational. It was a Mono Red tournament. Tom Ross won it at the Invitational, and Festus got the Standard Open done with Mono Red too.
And Festus is a faithful servant to Mono Red.
Been doing it every time we see him.
Yep.
He knows what he likes, just like you.
And I really like this style of decks that Festus plays. Not necessarily every card choice, but we do have pretty similar builds where we're not trying to do a lot with creature enchantments. It's a lot more about having a good curve, some good removal, a lot of reach. Similar philosophies, even though the card selections are sometimes different.
Now for Mason, obviously step 1 is not to mulligan to 4, but he does have some good ways of interacting in the matchup. Siege Rhino's a great card against Mono Red. Wingmate Rock, if he can get there, I think it'll certainly help that he's on the play. And we already mentioned Drown in Sorrow being a big role player in this matchup.
And another card that Festus is a big fan of, it was a key part in his Open Series win. Not a card we see a lot of anymore is Fanatic of Mogus. He's playing 4 copies this weekend. He has 4 copies of Flamewake Phoenix as well as another aggressive 3-drop. Adds a lot of devotion. Mardu Scout, also very good at enabling devotion.
Haven't seen Fnatic in a really long time.
Yeah, Festus is really the only one still keeping that going. Every time I watch him play, he's got 4x Fnatic of Mogus, and if you go back and watch his Open Series win, it's no surprise. Even against Mono Black Devotion, a deck that's flush with removal, Fnatic and Mogus did very good work for him in his Open Series win.
These two decks pretty popular here in day 2 of our Open here in Houston. Again, remember, 95 players doing battle here in day 2. Obs on aggro, 10 of that. And then mono red aggro, we have 6 of that in day 2. So aggressive decks, very popular. Red white aggro, the most aggressive, most popular deck, 15 copies of that. Currently in first place as well right now in this tournament. We'll have at least, I imagine at least one in the top 8.
Sounds reasonable.
Both players are going to take a look at their opening hands. Young will be on the play.
A card that I'm a little surprised is nowhere to be found in Festus's 75 is Eidolon with a Great Revel.
Sure.
This deck seems very well suited, plays a higher curve, it's in the market for double red, and Eidolon is just a generally powerful card for these kind of strategies.
Tempo of Silence, top card goes to the bottom underway here. Festus with a mountain, and he'll just pass the turn back. There's a Sandsep Citadel. This is a Thoughtseize. A lot of players like to board out Thoughtseize against red decks, but I actually like leaving it in.
I think it's okay. I'm looking at cards that I feel are probably worse. I think Abzan Charm is probably a worse card on the balance. But the Ajani, I think, is probably worse. So there's some cards.
You see the options. Okay, 3 Fnatic. Hanging out, along with a Goblin Rebel Master, a Flame Wake Phoenix, and a Wild Slash.
So the Thoughtseize is not very good in this hand.
Not at all.
Unless the Wild Slash matters, which it probably doesn't.
Sure.
You can't take a 3-drop, and you can't clip a Fnatic of Mogus because there's 3 of them.
You saw Festus briefly think about casting Wild Slash and going upstairs to do 2 points of damage. Rebel Master's going to bite the dust.
It's valuable enough to keep in your hand against a deck that has Rakshasa Death Dealer and Sorin.
The draw here for Festus looks like a fetch land, pass the turn back.
So unlikely that he would take Wild Slash out of that hand, so you might as well hold it. You got Monastery Swiftspear in your deck too, so might get a Prowess trigger down the line.
Stoke the Flames the draw. There's Bloodstained Mire, sacrifice that, go down to 19. And the big question, of course, here is how well does Resendez handle Siege Rhino? Because there's one coming next turn.
Well, he's got some play in the air with his Flamewake Phoenixes, and Fnatic and Mogus gives him some reach. Fnatic and Mogus is also a nice combo with Flamewake Phoenix. Easy way to get it back in case it dies.
There's the Phoenix. We're into the skies for 2.
Festus' deck, unable to kill Siege Rhino. There's nothing that deals 5 damage. There's no terror type effects. He does have 2 copies of Harness by Force, but by and large, he just has to work around it.
It's a Forest, and it's a Siege Rhino. So Mason's going to go back up to 19. Resendez is going to go down to 16. They'll flip life totals here. And we are going to head back Resendez's way. The draw step is a Lightning Strike. Unfortunately for Festus, it is not a land to start raining those Fanatics down.
But Lightning Strike is actually not a terrible draw here, as it allows him to pair that with the Wild Slash and get the Rhino off the table.
I think it's something he needs to do right now, and that looks like what he's going to do right now. Part of the reason you want to do that is because of Wingmate Rock.
And Mason's hand's much worse now. There's multiple copies of Wingmate Rock and a Sorin, all of which are much more powerful with the Siege Rhino in play.
The draw is a Windswept Heat, so he's flooding out a little bit here. Not a lot going on here for Young. He's got a lot to think about because raiding a Wingmate Rock here seems rather unlikely. There's Windswept Heath. This looks like it's going to be a Sorin. There that is. So we'll see if the elevator is going to go up or down here on Sorin in just a moment. It's going to go down, so there's a Tom Ross token. Pass that turn back. Land number 4 would be a big draw here for Resendez. Okie dokie. Made it look easy. We'll see if he does play one of these Fanatics this turn. Looks like he might be considering Stoke the Flames as well. Those are the spells that he has available. He'll go with the Fanatic. Redirect, get Sorin off the table. Flame Wake Phoenix, of course, has to attack, so it will attack. As you mentioned, 4 power turns on Ferocious.
Yep. Though now, Mason has an opportunity to get Wingmate Rock into play.
Yep. Mason going to sacrifice the Windswept Heath, go down to 14.
But Festus' hand has enough power in it where it's possible he can just overpower Wingmate Rock, which is very impressive for a mono red deck to be able to do, and it speaks a lot to the power of Fnatic and Bogus in these sorts of strategies.
Really big draw step here for Young. He has Wingmate Rock and lands in hand. That's the grip. So he needs something to do. See the lands, Caves of Koilos and a Plains. Young will take a draw. He's at 14 to start the turn. Picked up a Drowning Sorrow.
Oh boy.
Looks like he's going to start by attacking for 2 in the air. Resendez is going to go down to 14. It's an even game.
Sort of.
It sort of is even. Here's Wingmate Rock, and a bird will join. And just a passing of the turn, Resendez will take a draw step. Picked up a copy of Searing Blood.
Searing Blood's not shabby here, as Festus is, or Mason rather, is very likely to block the Phoenix no matter what because it has to attack.
There's Searing Blood. Perhaps this turn we see Stoke the Flames.
Yep, you can take care of the original rock, and then there's no life gain on the other side of the table.
Yep.
Not a bad turn. It also means that the Phoenix does not have to attack into the 3/4 token.
Young will draw. Temple of Malady coming into play. A little scry action here. Take a look.
And even with Drowning Sorrow, if Festus rips land number 5, you can play the Fnatic, get the Phoenix back, start beating down again.
Well, here's the drown. Both creatures are going to die. Little scry. Keeping it on top past the turn back. Land number 5 would be big here for Resendez. It's a Magma Jet. So we'll see which route he wants to go. Looks like he's just going to deploy the Fnatic to start things. Just 1 damage will come across. Young will go down to 10. You got to wonder what that top card of the deck is. If you're Resendez, you're hoping it's not Siege Rider or Wingmate Rock. Sorn will be a problem too. Let's see what he has kept on top of the deck. It is an Abzan Charm.
Not the end of the world for Festus here, so it still means land number 5 is good.
Yep. Abzan Charm, a very versatile card for these Abzan decks. Can put some counters on things. Young might be in a situation where he can pay life for cards. His life total is pretty high right now, after all. Going to start by attacking for 3 in the air. Resendez is going to go down to 8. Pass that turn back. Festus will take a draw. That's a land. That's important.
And now he's got to guess whether or not Mason kept a land in his, or kept a removal spell on top.
That's the question.
And I think Festus knows it has to be a removal spell. He wants to get a second 4-power creature in play so he can get the Phoenix back.
He's certainly thinking about it, that's for sure. It's important right now to get that Phoenix back.
Because if he just moves to combat and Mason kills the Fnatic, problematic.
Yep, doesn't get his Phoenix back. Now, of course, there's this tension here where, you know, you'd like to be able to attack, get your 4 points of damage, and get your Phoenix back too, but it seems unlikely things would work out the way that Festus would like them to, but he's going to go to his attack step. I think the thought process needs to be here is, wow, he actually gets to return it. That is very surprising.
Oh, wow. Best of both worlds here.
Yeah. I think definitely a misstep there by Mason.
Because now the charm goes out to the Fnatic and you get 1 more point from your Fnatic trigger.
Yeah. Now he gets to play this, gets to deal 3 points of damage. He puts Young down to 5. He's got a Magma Jet in hand. He might be able to finish things off next turn.
Yep.
Pass that turn back. Young gonna draw a card. It's a copy of Anafenza. It's a big body on the ground.
Yeah, not bad as a blocker.
But Young may actually have to hold back on defense here now. Yeah, and he will. Perhaps we'll see an upkeep Magma Jet. We'll see. I'll just take a draw step instead. Monastery Swift Spear. Cast that.
Swift Spear is not bad here because Anafenza might go in front of the Monastery Swift Spear now. Although I guess he has to block Fnatic in this spot. Just too much damage.
Yeah. But you might be okay with that exchange of resources. You attack with everybody. Flamewake Phoenix gets blocked by the 3-4. Fnatic gets blocked by Anafenza. You play Magma Jet on the 3-4 to finish it off, and you get the Scry. And your Monster Sorcerer becomes a 2-power creature.
Yeah, you get to knock Mason down to 3, which means you're drawing very live. Now Lightning Strike and Stoke the Flame finish the game off.
Yeah.
Mardu Scout as well.
Everybody's coming in here for Resendez. Maybe. Just these two.
Well, this is very weird as now. These blocks are just very easy.
Simple, yeah.
I guess the logic here is you get to finish off the Anafenza and then get back the Phoenix for free next turn, assuming that there's no removal spell. But he has to Magma Jet now while the Swift Spear is in combat.
Yeah, can't wait till after combat. So both creatures are going to die. It's the plan to take out the flyer, because if that Magma Jet goes after Anafenza, this is a disaster.
Oh, no, his plan is to get rid of the flyer. That makes sense. And now the coast is clear for the Phoenix.
Sure. Looks like maybe a little bit of confusion here. Both players, you can definitely tell, talking back and forth about what's going on in the game. Perhaps Resendez maybe believes he may have made a mistake in his plan.
Well, the Magma Jet's still fine here. He can still take care of the flyer. He's got a 4-power creature in play to check the other, check the Anafenza.
Yep.
He gets a Scry. He gets the Phoenix back next turn, assuming that his Fnatic doesn't die.
Looks like both cards going to the bottom here with the Jet. Pass the turn back.
And Mason can't attack on board.
Young will draw. Copy of Llanowar Waste. You definitely can't attack now.
Yeah, he dies on the way back.
Yeah. There's a land, pass the turn back. Resendez quickly going to untap and take a draw. You can get a great look at it. It's a spell. It's a Goblin Rabble Master. Trigger, get this. Just not get back the Flamewake Phoenix.
I think this block just has to be on Fnatic.
I think so.
He still needs to draw real big next turn. But if he blocks here, then Drown in Sorrow.
Oh, some things definitely.
Siege
get turned
Rhino.
on.
There's some draws.
He's going to go down to 1.
The problem here is that means the Anafenza took care of the Phoenix.
Oh, sure.
The exile
Yep,
trigger.
yep.
Yes.
Our fault. Draw step. Death Dealer.
Festus' entire graveyard is off camera
Yep.
right now, which is
Makes more sense. That's
Yeah.
our fault there. There's Death Dealer, pass the turn back. Resendez going to untap very quickly.
now this Rabble Master is going to make a token, assuming that Festus Alpha strikes. And
Doesn't even need a token.
doesn't
Lightning
need it.
Strike's going to get the job done. Festus Resendez is going to win this match here over Mason Young. 2-0. Mono red aggro trucking along here. Takes care of Abzan aggro. It feels like to me that match is probably pretty good for Mono red.
I think that game 1, you're real solid. And then you got to steal one of the post-board games, which Festus was able to do in spite of Mason having a Drown in Sorrow and not a bad curve.